Good morning. Welcome to the 9th Annual Innovation Challenge and the 4th year that the Jim Moran College of Entrepreneurship has been able to hold this competition in our beautiful new building. I'm Susan Fiorito. I'm the Dean of the Jim Moran College of Entrepreneurship and am honored to be able to welcome you this morning. It has been a long journey since the fall when these student teams first applied. We have held 12 workshops and had 2 elimination rounds to get to our 8 finalist teams competing today. This competition is open to students from any major or any college across campus. $4,000 prizes will be awarded for the Jim Moran Challenge Top Social Venture, the most innovative, the spirit of entrepreneurship, the most viable, and most scalable. And the $10,000 Mark K. Scott Infinity Fund's first prize will go to the best overall winner. All teams competing today will receive at least $500 for making it to the final round. I am now pleased to introduce Wendy Plant, the Director of Student Engagement for the Jim Moran College.
Thank you. So we're very grateful to all the judges that helped us get to this point and to the 4 judges who are joining us today. After graduating from FSU, Gary Brand founded Brand Ferlin Advisors in 1986. The firm awards an annual scholarship to an FSU student interested in a career in business consulting. He serves as a trustee for the National Small Business Association, where his duties include helping formulate their positions on national regulations affecting entrepreneurs. Gary created an app called Biz Impact, which will allow business owners to express their economic impact on their community. So thank you for being here. Gary came all the way from Savannah to join us today, so thank you for that. Next is Tracy Cohen, who's a graduate of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. She's the 2nd generation owner and president of Target Print and Mail. Mark McNeese is the founder of Red Eye Coffee, a Newman's Own Foundation Fellow, and an entrepreneur in residence at the Jim Moran College of Entrepreneurship. Mark believes in the power of commerce to create positive, sustainable change, both locally and globally. Mark. And David White is a graduate of FSU and a partner and CPA with Carr, Riggs & Ingram, LLC. He helps nonprofits and entrepreneurs in their auditing, tax, and consulting needs. So thank you all so much for spending your time here today judging these promising student entrepreneurs. And now we'll get started with the reason we're all here for the team with Staying In.
First and foremost, we'd like to thank everybody for having us here today. I know we're excited, and I hope you guys are too. When we got back to Tallahassee in the fall, we realized that the restaurant industry was not the same as when we had left it in March. For example, fewer people were dining out at restaurants, a lot more takeout, and they were staying there for less time. And we realized restaurants have been losing a lot of their main revenue stream just through people dining in. So Staying In looks to resolve these issues. We look to provide a new revenue stream for restaurants they haven't ever had before, and that can help offset some of the losses due to COVID-19. I'm Harrison Prieto.
I'm Will Miles.
I'm Jake Seaman.
I'm Maya Wilkes. We're all co-founders of Staying. And here's a quick how-to video that shows us how to use our website.
Welcome to Staying, the online marketplace where you can purchase a meal kit for the restaurant. The meal kit includes exact ingredients to cook the restaurant, how-to video showing you exactly how to cook the meal. All you have to do is pick up your fresh ingredients from the restaurant a few days after purchase, and you're ready to cook. You can pick up your order 2 days after purchase, anytime during the restaurant. Why should you use Staying In? Staying In is for any save time, learn how to cook, support local restaurants. Now, let us show you how to use our website. First step to order from Staying In is to visit stayinginonline.com. Once you're on the site, go to the online. Once you reach the ordering page, there is a list of local restaurants the food and drink offerings. After finding the items, add them to your cart and checkout. After you've checked out, you will receive two emails. First email will be an order confirmation that you will receive after. Check your email the following email, second email, which will have the passcode to access the house. Once you've picked up your meal 2 days after placing the order, it's time to start cooking. Go back to our website. There you will be able to enter the custom passcode, second email, and video to begin cooking. Thank you. Now we're
So why would you use Sting? First, you're supporting local restaurants by using Sting. And second, you're learning how to cook using our specialized videos that we give you from the restaurant chef showing you exactly how to cook your meal. And you save time and you save money, not having to go to the grocery store and buy each individual ingredient. Take a look here. This is a graph showing our the savings on different meals that we offer. The average is about $12.50 per meal if you were to go to the grocery store and buy the ingredients or use us. To be more specific, you can look in the blue. That's us for the crab cakes. The green would be a well-known grocer with that color. And if you look here, you'll spend about $13.50 for our crab cakes. If you wanted to buy the ingredients to make the same exact amount, you'd pay about $47. So the cost savings are actually. And why restaurants would want to partner with us? Well, we're helping them find new revenue streams in a post-COVID new normal. We're also helping them reach people that are staying in their own homes and offering them different ways to reach different customers. We're also helping them compete with grocers such as Publix and meal prep services such as HelloFresh.
So tracking our progress so far, since launching or starting our business in October, we've been able to partner with 4 restaurants: Centrale, Aston Social, Township, and the Blue Halo. We are a patent pending business, and since launching our website about a week and a half ago, we've had 600 visitors on our site, which has led to about $1,000 in total revenue. So for our growth and scalability, for our 1-year sales, using conservative numbers of averaging 2 new restaurants per month at 10 orders per night per restaurant, and an average order price of $25, which we've had so far. In 1 year, we project to be doing just about $7,000 per night in total sales, which leads to about $200,000 a year. Using those same numbers for simplicity, we plan on having a total revenue of about $24 million in 5 years.
So for our sustainability as a company, which is very important to us, we are currently 100% recyclable with all the packaging coming from the restaurants either being paper or recyclable plastic. We highly encourage all customers to recycle their waste when they're done cooking their restaurant meals. And we're currently looking into biodegradable packaging. So our plan for the $10,000 prize, first off, we would like to allocate $5,000 of that towards our video costs of adding new restaurants. Our goal is to have over 20 restaurants added that we're partnering with by the end of August. And then after that, $4,000, $10,000 prize would be going towards a patent. We currently have a provisional patent, but we'd like to solidify that patent on our business process involving our videos. And then the last $1,000 would go towards advertising. So that would be, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and also merchandise sales to our customers in the Tallahassee market. And if you weren't hungry already, we hope you are now with some of these pictures of our menu items. And we'd like to thank you for letting us present today. And we'd like to open up the floor for questions.
I had a question. Who pays for the video first?
So we incur that cost. We have our own video team. And it comes out to about $100 per meal filming and editing.
Okay. What about consulting with safe practices, conversion of the business, so they can go ahead and do these takeout meals? Is that something that you would charge separately for, or you would leave that up to the restaurant?
If we wouldn't really charge for that. We look at it as we're partnering with restaurants. We're helping bring them into the stream, and And, you know, the more the restaurant makes on this, the more we make. We take a 15% transaction fee. So win-win charge for.
I really like your video.
Thank you.
Very nice.
We'll be sure to tell the video guy.
Very happy.
Yeah, could you, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, I just have I actually have two questions. I'll just ask one right now, and if there's time, I'll ask the second. But could you please go over your cost structure again? I know you said 15% of the sale, but your growth and was that gross revenue or was that projected net? So
I can go back to that slide.
That would be gross revenue. That's our total aggregate over 5 years.
Profit would be 3.5 million. Right now, without marketing very strongly, considering we just launched, we're doing on average 5 meals a night at $25 on average. So to scale up to $10 or 10 meals a night at $25 is not really out of the realm of possibility. So those are pretty rough numbers, obviously, but as far as what we've done so far and really the feedback we've gotten talking to different restaurants, it's entirely possible.
And also to add, 85% of that is going to the restaurant. So like since we've been launched a week and a half ago, we've had over $1,000 in sales. So that means $850 has gone to these restaurants. 150 has gone up.
I'm sorry, I just have a real quick follow-up question. And this is going to be just, how, out of that $1,000, how much of that has been you guys and friends and family?
At first, like the first couple days was mostly friends that we knew, but then as of the past 3 or 4 days, we started to get more like customers that have just heard about the business, followed us on Instagram, heard from a friend, saw one of our shirts or one of our pullovers. We've been selling a lot of pullovers and things like that, and a lot of people like it. They love them. We've done a whole lot of business in just pullovers, honestly.
Yeah, pullover sales.
So yeah, so as of lately, it's been more people that we don't.
Okay, I'm curious about the 2 days, and you guys said this over and over again in the video, so it's very clear. Why 2 days? It seems like it eliminates impulse purchases and things.
We put the 2 days in the video for now, simply to just make it clear. So we're glad you got it. Our first script for that was a little bit quicker. It didn't make it as clear, but you want to.
So the only reason we're doing 2 days right now is the restaurants didn't want to get hit, man, that they didn't already know. So they want to get a gauge on it. You know, how many orders of crab cakes are we going to get tonight? How many orders of BLT dip are we going to get another night? But we're moving probably within the next 2 weeks. We'll move to 1 day, and then ultimately we'd be able to connect to their POS systems do same day.
For the 15%, is this the same price that the restaurant would charge at their own restaurant, or is there like an increase and then you get the 15% off of that?
We charge the same as the menu price. So the $11 for the BLT dip is $11 on our site. And the reason we did 15% is we didn't want to go too high because obviously this business is to help restaurants. So we're hit really hard. And, you know, like really nice restaurants, they can't really use Uber Eats or DoorDash, companies like that, which actually those companies take 32%. So we wanted to do, yeah.
Right. That's plus consumer fees. I mean, delivery fees for consumers.
Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, last time I ordered from Uber Eats, my meal was $11. I ended up paying with the tip. So.
Yeah. So.
And also just to kind of go on that, that was one of our talking points at first was what would we charge? What would restaurants want to charge? But since this is a new revenue stream for them, they're already like incurred costs for operations on a normal day is already covered. So this is just pretty much all money, like do cash revenue.
I didn't hear you talk about an app. Is that in your plans?
An app is definitely in our plans, and obviously $10,000 would help go to that a long way. But right now, you know, we just had to have proof of concept, which we got. We got great customer feedback. So building that out is affecting the website, getting all that automated, and then putting into an app.
And also, you mentioned having a pending patent. Tell us about that. What aspect can you get the patent on?
So the patent is mostly on the process and the videos. So we own the videos, they're proprietary. So it would be creating a centralized service, the process of that, and then like going through the site and ordering restaurants, and then getting a video that is like through a code. That would basically be what it is. I mean, I wrote the patent, and then we talked to or the provisional, and then we talked to 3 different lawyers, and then I had a lawyer online consult, read over it and make sure.
Very nice.
I'm glad you have your sustainability slide up. I did have some questions about that. I was in the video with the single-use plastic, especially wanting to recycle it. Contamination in recycling is a huge issue, and I see that you encourage all customers to recycle their waste. Could you unpack that a little bit more for me? How do you do that, and how do you ensure that they're recycling properly?
Well, first we make sure to have the restaurants tell them to like make sure to recycle. So far, we've been personally telling people if they order to like make sure that they recycle, because it does matter to us. We know that we are giving out plastic right now, and then we also have been looking into
The name is Hubert.
which is a biodegradable packaging company that maybe we could be doing some business with to get some biodegradable packaging that isn't so good. Even if it does end up in a landfill and people don't recycle, it won't hurt the environment.
Yeah, currently, just to let you know, Tallahassee doesn't have commercial composting ability, so you'd probably be better off going with single-use paper, like cardboard or something like that. And I would recommend maybe printing up some flyers on proper recycling would be a huge step in the sustainability, especially using a ton of single-use plastic.
Oh, are you saying like flyers that we could like put inside or like in the like
In the bag? I think that would help your brand, and it would definitely help your sustainability claim.
Yeah, we appreciate it. That's what go along with.
What is your approach from a growth standpoint? You mentioned some of the revenue goals over the projection in the several millions. Right now this is just in Tallahassee. Do you have a plan that accompanies that revenue model for expansion?
So to touch on that, it kind of has 2 answers to it. So right now we want to get over 20 restaurants in Tallahassee by August. And with that, we'll be able to self-fund a lot more of our restaurants going forward. And then I'm from Orlando personally. I have a lot of connections to the restaurants in Orlando. So then that would be our next destination. That's a much bigger market. So we're perfecting the market in Tallahassee, getting everything in line, then moving to Orlando, and from there, pretty much the whole state of Florida. And then there's no reason why this couldn't go around the country. There's restaurants in every city. But as far as the revenue growth as well, we didn't really touch on this during the presentation, but our ultimate goal is to make this a subscription service. So every restaurant we add, we're getting 3 to 5 videos of the restaurant chef. So after a while, our library of digital media is going to be just that. And we'll have different chefs showing all these different recipes. It's a huge market within itself. So we'll probably move towards a subscription service where, you might pay $5 a month or so to see all these videos. And then because of those cost savings you have, there's no incentive for someone to see the videos and not buy our product. They're not going to they might go to the grocery store once and realize how much money they're wasting and then buy our product.
To answer your previous question further, the move to Orlando would also probably bring along the start of an app, simply because the market is so long.
So one of the things that you said was the benefits of this is that you learn to cook, right? So is your target mostly college students?
No, we can go with any age group.
Okay. Good answer.
It cuts the cooking time in half as well.
Okay, got it.
But quite literally, yeah. He can't cook a lick.
I can't cook.
He
I can cook this.
sandwiches.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, Ryan.
Thank you guys so much. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Zach.
I'm Olivia.
And I'm Massimo. And we are
Resourceful. The sauce industry needs some new flavor. Consumers are paying too much for sauce bottles that contain mostly water, an ingredient that most of us have access to in our homes. Sauce bottles take up too much space in fridges and often go unused for long periods of time. The sauce industry is having devastating impacts on our environment, and little is being done. And so we created Resourceful. Resourceful is an innovative and eco-friendly sauce business that creates sauce tablets and reusable sauce bottles, allowing consumers to enjoy sauce while saving their money, space, and planet.
Here's a short clip for you guys to see.
68% of Americans say they are more likely to purchase takeout or delivery food than they were before the pandemic. As the demand for takeout grew during the pandemic, so did the amount of single-use plastic sauce packets handed out. And I say handed out because who knows how many were actually used. A solution to single-use sauce packets are not only wanted, but needed. Over 855 billion single-use sauce packets are used each year. That's enough to cover the entire surface of the earth. Our solution for restaurants and the environment are dissolvable sauce tablets made of dehydrated sauce powder that when dropped into water dissolve into the desired sauce. If nothing is done, scientists have predicted that there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish, pound for pound, by 2050. With the increased popularity of food delivery apps, the rise of ghost kitchens, which are takeout and delivery kitchens only, and the growth of subscription meal services, it seems that bringing food to the home is the future of restaurants. We are resourceful, and we are ready to deplastify the sauce industry.
All right.
60.
So we have two products. We have a tablet and then a reusable bottle too. And we're gonna call it a forever bottle because you'll be able to create sauce forever. And we do have a prototype today for you guys. Comprised of dehydrated sauce powder and spices, and then to complement the tablets, we have our usable bottles that when you drop the tablet inside the bottle, it turns into sauce.
So the sauce market is huge and it's only getting bigger. As of now, the total available market is comprised of $142.5 billion. Of this, $45 billion is comprised of the global soy sauce market, $4.4 billion is comprised of the global hot sauce market, and $600 million goes to the global lemon and lime juice market. This leaves us with a servable market of about $50 billion.
This brings us to our models. We have direct to consumer, which is going to be an individual sales of our sauce tablet boxes and refillable sauce bottles. We have a subscription model, which would be a monthly subscription of our sauce tablets sent to the customer's front door. And with the first month, you would get a reusable bottle. And we have a wholesale model, which is going to be large quantity sales of our sauce tablets that we're going to sell to restaurants, meal subscription companies, cruises, airlines, university dining halls, food trucks, and more.
So here's our competition. It consists of dehydrated sauce powder, of regular sauce bottles and normal condiment packets, a company called Slice of Sauce, and bouillon cubes.
So let's take a look at some of our competitive advantages. Our sauce tablets are an experience because eating should be fun. We're also portable and lightweight, which is a camper's dream. Our tablets are serving size, so now you know the exact nutritional facts in every sauce serving. We're also convenient because sauce shopping should be fun. We're environmentally friendly. The turtles would thank you. Our tablets are a major space saver, which leaves you with a clean fridge, clean pantry, and happy life.
This brings us to our team. We have Zach Godner, who's going to be our dreamer. He's working on designing product, branding, and creative content. We have Olivia Edwards, who's our communicator. She's going to be working on community engagement, public relations, and social media. And then there's me. I'm the hospitalian. I'm going to be working on sales, partnerships, and event coordinating. What we plan on doing with the winnings is work on corporation registration fees, legal fees, including trademark and working on a patent, product development, testing costs, and our first inventory purchases.
So why should you invest? We're a disruptor in a growing market. We have a creative solution to a global environmental issue. Sustainable sauce has lots of opportunity and new market potential, and single-use plastic legislation is only strengthening. But most importantly, we are a team that is passionate and willing to do whatever it takes to become resourceful. Thank you. We'd love to hear some of your questions now.
I have a question. I noticed you didn't give us an actual demo. Is it take too long?
So we do have a prototype, and we could if we had a bottle of water, but it's just our prototype. We don't have manufactured version yet.
I got it.
It does. It wouldn't drop into water, turn into it.
Right. I get
It's a hot sauce version.
you're at an early stage right now. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where's my walker?
So I don't know really much about, I mean, I haven't heard of this. It makes sense. I haven't heard of this kind of a movement recently, but just based on your slide, educate me on how you would distinguish yourselves from like that slice of sauce competitor.
Okay.
What would make you different?
Slice of sauce is dehydrated sort of a sauce, and I would compare it to a fruit roll-up. It's just like a slice of a dried out sort of looks like a fruit, dried out fruit slice, not a liquid sauce. So we're taking a dehydrated tablet, turning it into a liquid sauce. So a restaurant would put it in a takeout bag, would bring it home. Once you're home, drop the tablet in a cup of water, bowl of water.
How's this different than, I'm familiar with Easter egg coloring? You just drop the tablet in the water and then you get the color. How's it different than that? Or is
Similar
it?
concept.
Okay.
I like where you're going with that, but it is similar where it is like that dehydrated, but again, it's going to be a sauce, so it's not going to be the coloring. But it's like along those lines, you could say, definitely.
So I don't know if I have a question right now, but I do have a couple of comments if you'd like to hear them.
Definitely.
So single-use plastic, that's kind of like my wheelhouse too. I'm actually working with a startup that's trying to eliminate single-use plastic in K-cups right now. So I applaud you for recognizing the devastation that we're doing to our planet with that. So bravo to that. Just two suggestions on just your presentation. Number one, I think Gary mentioned it, but definitely I think it would have been a lot more powerful if you actually demonstrated how it worked. I think that would have been really helpful. And then I'm going to beat you up a little bit. You're using single-use plastic as a demonstration against single-use plastic. Maybe rethink that next time. So, but great presentation and great idea. I'm excited about it. And I'd like to get the prototype.
Thank you.
So I'm just really, genuinely curious about the genesis. How did this come to be? Who came up with this idea? Like, where did you guys get this?
So Zach and I are roommates, and one night we were thinking, I opened the fridge, and the whole fridge was just comprised of all these single-use bottles, and it was taking up our whole fridge. And we were like, this needs to end. It's insane how much plastic we're using. And so we came up with the idea, and then we refined it into resource.
So is the idea that you would have like packages of these sauces in your pantry or whatever, and then when you are ready to have like a barbecue sauce with your meal, you get one of those out, put it in the reusable bottle and use it. And the idea is you use it all in one serving. It's not meant to be put back in the fridge for storage.
It could be, but a one serving tablet is the idea.
Okay, so it's always going to be like whether it comes from a restaurant or whether it's in your home, it's just for like that one meal.
A one serving.
For one serving. Okay.
I could almost see like a Pez dispenser type thing that, you would pop it in. I do have a question on like, so right now at home, I use powdered peanut butter that I rehydrate with water, which I would. So what kind of condiments besides soy sauce? Could this be ketchup and mustard? How, like what could you
That's
do?
not the plan right now. We're going towards more of a liquid sauce, so a soy sauce, a ponzu sauce, a teriyaki sauce, a lot of hot sauces,
Tabasco.
a Tabasco, and then like a lemon lime juice, sort of a sauce for like a salad or.
Things
Okay, great. Thanks.
notable to mention that things are water-based, like soy sauce, 65% water. That's really where we're gonna be able to get our consistency as opposed to like a barbecue sauce that is gonna have a different consistency that's not as much water. So we wouldn't be able to achieve that necessarily with what we're aiming for as opposed to soy sauce, lemon juice, teriyaki sauce. So
Yeah.
something more along those lines.
Have you ever used the dehydrated peanut butter? You have? Okay.
We do have it.
Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, it blows me away.
It's convenient though. So a sauce tablet, all you have to do is just drop it in
Uh-huh.
with the peanut butter powder. It takes us like 10 minutes. Put it in a cup, measure it out,
What?
make sure it's perfect.
I do yeah, it's kind of the same concept, but
Yeah.
it's the powder and then we press it into the desired size. And then and then you just drop it in water instead of using the scoop and then having that big.
Right. I gotcha.
That big.
All right. I don't think it should take you 10 minutes, but okay.
It takes us longer than just to drop the tablet.
Don't you have to measure the water?
Well, inside the bottle, our reusable sauce bottle, it's gonna have lines.
Ah,
This much amount of water for a single tablet, here for 2 tablets, and so on.
I think you might have just answered a question I was going to ask. I think you did just now, but how were you actually producing these? Did you say you were actually taking dry powder and manipulating it into this tablet?
Yeah,
or-
so we need a press to do that.
Go for it.
Yeah, so we're gonna use a press to do that. But yeah, we're just working on product.
So right now we're really in the beginning stages of everything. But everything that we need to manufacture our product already exists. So that's really going to lower our costs and lower our production time, which is good news. But like he said, we are planning on using a pill press to do so. So that's our goal right now.
And it sounds like you're at that very infancy stage of this right now, but have you reached out to any restaurants about their open-mindedness to this type of a concept, and have any maybe on deck?
Yes,
You have?
I used to work in a restaurant and I contacted my old boss and said, would this be something that you would buy as a restaurant owner? And he did say it was a really cool idea and he would definitely.
I'm trying to imagine the restaurant, right? And so the restaurant is going to deliver it with the food. What are they going to put it in that's different than a soy sauce packet?
So we wanted to use paper as, so it's like a square, it would come in something like 6 tablets or so, and then you can tear one off and it would be paper. And then it's compostable.
In maybe on the product slide where you had the different products, for that type of a delivery, do you also have to have that bottle that you then measure it out, or how would that work?
On the individual tablet, it would say add half a cup of water to the tablet, the home use.
I think this is a really great concept, and I feel like it's so simple. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I really liked the inclusion of the beyond what you just request. If you say you want soy sauce, even if you say just a little bit, you get 5 pounds of it, and what do you do with it? It eventually somehow gets disposed of. So great idea. I like it.
Thank you.
So one of the things we haven't really talked about is financial models though. Like, so what, like, how have you like looked into how much it's going to cost you to make these, how you can sell them, how it compares to how you'd be able to offer that to a restaurant and they would be willing to purchase other than the social reasons?
So, what we did look into is when you buy soy sauce and they ship it to you, you're paying for that bottle of soy sauce or the gallon of soy sauce, and that's already all water. So, a restaurant would be buying just the powder and then using their own water, and that is going to cut down on shipping costs immensely.
Just to unpack that, are you referring to having restaurants use this themselves on a commercial scale? Or that they would include it in like to-go packaging and whatnot?
We're still, we've been talking about it, but maybe something along those lines as using a lot of the powder.
Time.
Big ball, like a big bottle, and then just adding water, and it's the same thing. Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
Good morning, everyone. We are medical, and we're here helping with protect medicine and save lives. My name is Andrew Sayers, and me and my team have dedicated ourselves to creating a storage device that maintains the quality of temperature-sensitive medication in the event of a mass power outage. Every year, dozens of hurricanes tear through the Caribbean and Southeast United States. And with them, they bring disaster, destruction, and of course, mass power outages. In 2017, when Hurricane Maria struck Puerto Rico, it left the majority of people without power for weeks on end. While power outages are inconvenient for everyone, they can be deadly for diabetics who require temperature-sensitive insulin to survive. The following chart shows the leading causes of deaths during peak hurricane season in the years leading up to Hurricane Maria. In 2017, when Hurricane Maria struck, the number of diabetes-related deaths increased by 46%. And on top of that, it was still the leading cause of death through peak hurricane season. This is unacceptable. But the problem is bigger than you think. 1 in 11 adults worldwide have diabetes, which corresponds to over 400 million diabetics. This number is expected to increase by 27% to almost 600 million people by the year 2035. In some cases in the U.S., it has been shown that hurricanes increase diabetes-related deaths by up to 40%. Here at Medical, we have the power to change that.
Using readily available technology, we can eliminate these preventable and tragic deaths. Our team has come up with a solution for diabetics to store their medication from their own homes or wherever they may be until power is restored to their area. So the main function of our device is to maintain temperature for 14 days on a full charge. It's powered by batteries in conjunction with the solar panel to ensure that the temperature is maintained within the cooler for as long as necessary. We also designed the medical to conserve as much power as possible to, again, prolong the period of time to where the device is working. So, we designed medical to be a practical solution during the events of a natural disaster. There are other devices on the market that have similar functions, but are not best suited for these types of events. So, as an example, we have the home care cooler. It's focused on portability, but lacks in operation time as well as storage capacity. We also have the American Biotech supply that is a much larger device, but it requires access to main power. So comparing our medical to these competitors, medical is a solid middle ground between the two, but we are definitely better suited for this type of application. We are the only device that that is portable, can store and generate power, as well as accommodate a full supply of insulin. Medical is, like I said, the better suited device for this application, and it gives the user a very reliable and secure way to store their medication during the events of a natural disaster or power outage.
Primarily, we are focused on working with disaster relief organizations and disaster-focused nonprofits. We want to build our life-saving brand by working with organizations who are already trusted in these dire situations. We believe this is the best way for us to reach the largest number of people. However, we also want to be commercially available for individuals to buy on a small scale so that they can take matters into their own hands. Finally, we're interested in reaching out to living assistance organizations so that we can also help support and protect some of the most vulnerable among us. Globally, the market for medical refrigeration is over $3 billion, and it is $673 million in the United States alone. We, however, are operating in a blue ocean where we are positioned to be the only product targeting portable emergency medical refrigeration. Currently, we are testing and validating our working prototype, and we are going to be moving into production while simultaneously licensing our product and exploring opportunities for external commercialization. In the coming years, we are interested in diversifying our products and reaching into additional markets. We are planning on listing for the very attractive price of $500. We already have quotes from manufacturers leading us to believe that we can mass produce our product for roughly $90 per unit, bringing our total profit per unit to $410. In order to get off the ground, we need to look at patenting, which thanks to some recent connections, we believe we can do for under $2,000, meaning all we need to do is perfect our design and build our starting inventory, leaving our total startup cost at around $8,500.
So as Zoe previously stated, our first year is going to be laser focused on disaster relief. We want to target individuals who are most directly impacted by these storms. As we enter our second year, we can start to target the individual themselves. We've campaigned so far on providing security during disaster, but it doesn't take a category 5 to knock off the tower. As our product base begins to solidify, we can look towards expanding our current model. With only a few slight and low-cost modifications to our existing design, we can accommodate almost any type of temperature-sensitive medication. Our ultimate goal, however, is global expansion. We want to lightweight our design such that it can be airdropped into third world countries where existing infrastructure is limited. Now, why should you invest in any pool? Well, simply we have a viable solution to an otherwise unsolved problem. Taking advantage of networks available to us, we're looking at low administrative costs for our first year. We'll begin with a starting inventory of 65 units. We'll scale that production over a 5-year period to include our new models represented by the spike in prototyping in year 3. Our success will gradually increase over this time period, and we expect to sell over 500 units during our 5th year, netting over $175,000 worth of profit for that year. Now, we've talked a lot about money, but at the end of the day, this product is built to save lives. There are over 34 million Americans living with diabetes. 5 million of them are living in high-risk hurricane impact states. We know Medical can help them. We know it's a cause worth investing in. Profit or not, this is something that the whole world needs. So we would like to ask you, could you put a price on saving a life? We would like to thank everyone at the InNOLEvation Challenge for the opportunity to share our product, to gather support for a cause we're passionate about and we believe in, and we thank you for your time.
Any questions?
Do you have a prototype?
Yeah, so we have all of our technology is developed. We're running tests right now at the College of Engineering, just going over some final details.
I noticed you didn't bring it here.
No, so it's still kind of property of the school with the tools and things that we're using. So it's in the design lab at the College of Engineering.
Okay, thank you.
Can you, do you know, like, the dimensions of that? It seems, and can you go over the cost of how you arrived at the $90 cost per unit? And then just really an unrelated but second question, is the ideal customer here going to be the Red Crosses and health organizations, or is it going to be consumers that they have it just on standby in case something does happen?
So ideally, our customer is going to be like the disaster relief organizations, such as Red Cross, and then places such like the American Diabetes Association, so that they could buy them in bulk and then distribute them as needed to people. We know that people don't really tend to prep for disasters ahead of time, so we do want to be available for those that are, but at the same time, we know that that's not how we're going to reach the highest number of people. We received a quote for about $5 per pound for the actual body of the cooler, and then we're just going to be looking at like small electrical components and things like that that we can get on a large quantity for an extremely cheaper price than we did for our prototype. So that's how we ended at around $90.
So maybe piggyback off Zoe, the dimensions of the actual device is basically about the size of the cooler. That would fit about like 6 cans.
A regular 5-quart cooler.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And really the most expensive thing that comes in this device is the batteries and solar panel. Everything else we can get for very cheap. So this isn't a hard thing to produce or manufacture.
It's all readily available technology too. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it's just working all together.
And making it one cohesive package. That way it's a viable opportunity to someone. Maybe they're looking at, do I spend $1,000 on a gas powered generator where you can buy this product for half that price and your health is preserved.
So one of the things that it makes me think about is if Red Cross is your target, is them storing them, right? So have you guys looked at a collapsible model that like can be assembled once it arrives, like, you know, put the sides up and more foam, like just kind of like a thought of like being able to store it and then when it arrives, you can actually put it together.
Yeah, we can definitely look into that. One advantage for us is we have a personal relationship with a company that makes coolers. So we can almost give them any design we want and they can make it for us. So we could definitely look into doing a collapsible model. Like Nick said, we're already looking into doing a lightweight model that could be airdropped in dire situations. So that personal connection is very important to our company, and we can really come up with any body design using that manufacturer.
Are you familiar with Luminate? Okay, you should really check them out. So they have a very similar, not product, but business model and go-to-market strategy. So essentially, for power outages and stuff, they have a collapsible light that has, like, you blow up and then it has LED. They won on Shark Tank, and but they do a lot of business with the Red Cross. And to Tracy's point, though, one of their big things is they were disrupting the flashlight market and going with this, and the collapsible is huge, especially in disaster situations. So I think Tracy gave you a real nugget. You should check out Luminate. I do have a question about your 5-year projection. If you could go back to that. Yeah, so I think you said your TAM was 3.8 billion. Was that correct?
3.3 billion in the global market for medical refrigeration.
Okay, great. And then nice use of blue ocean, by the way. Your 5 years projection, it seems overly conservative, especially looking at the model or the target that you're going after. And why so little? Like, why 500 in year 5, I think you said?
So the number one concern was we didn't want to walk in here with these ginormous numbers, making it look like we were just hand waving, we're going to be super successful right off the bat. In the first couple of years, our main focus is just getting off the ground with this first product, and then we want to put a lot of focus into these other models, lightweighting and being able to reach more people. So the conservation really just comes from not wanting to overextend production into our new model before we have a chance to really expand into the things that we want to be getting at.
For example, like the collapsible market, the collapsible would be a great idea that we could further prototype it in and then scale production up from that.
Yeah, I would probably just in your projections, because I would imagine your go-to-market strategy would have to, especially working with really large organizations like the Red Cross and things like that, like year 1, maybe extremely small, but just exponential growth. I think it would show that you're more serious about getting that into that market.
Right.
Because if I was an investor looking at $250,000 worth of sales is not going to make me very excited to invest.
Can you, right to that point, if you land a contract with the Red Cross, they're not going to have 5.
Right.
They're going to, that number's going to skyrocket up. Can you go back to the comparison with the competitors' slides? And so there is not another directed toward insulin, there is not another, those are the two companies out there that currently market for that space.
So anything that you're going to get to do kind of what we're trying to do needs to be plugged in to an external power source. So there are several that run that way. For example, you could plug into your car. I'm pretty sure Yeti has one, but none of them run based off of sustainable power, so that you don't need an external power source.
Or nearly as long, and that's kind of our biggest target. Earlier in the presentation, it is kind of showing the power grid we restored, and after Maria, it took 2 weeks, and there was barely enough power. So our main target is to get it to run longer than anything else, because there are cases where it does take 2 weeks, but you take longer, and that's like what we're really shooting for, and that's kind of what puts us apart from everyone else.
Building on these existing products that need either main power or need a vehicle, if we're going to be putting these products into third world countries, can't expect everyone to have a vehicle to plug this cooler into. So we need it to be self-sustaining, all packaged into one unit.
So it seems like this product is similar to, there's something called a portable power plant, but you're just adding a refrigeration or cooling element, is that right?
Right.
It's a great idea. Very good.
And this is showing my ignorance on this aspect, but from that whole play is based on the solar aspect of this, right? The solar energy of being able to generate power. You don't have to plug in, right? To cool at that temperature, what kind of an energy input
So
generates
it's
that level?
going to require not as much solar power as you might think, based off the batteries that we're implementing. We're anticipating being able to run for just about 2 weeks without the use of the solar panel, and then that solar panel is going to come into play for extended periods of time.
Our initial testing showed that we could reach our temperature target in under 30 minutes from room temperature down to get to where we need to be. And that was done on a very rough prototype that didn't have any sort of the extra insulation that we'll be implementing. So we're confident we can reduce that cooling time. And additionally, the cooler's not going to be running the entire time. There's a sensor built into the device that's going to detect the temperature range. Because there's a sweet spot between 2 and 8 degrees Celsius that these medications need to sit at. So we can detect when it's getting up to that threshold, that ceiling, where we can put our cooling back on, get it down closer to 2, and repeat that cycle.
I was going to say, just remember that the places that you're looking at are not at room temperature. They're at 100 degrees after a hurricane comes through. So just make sure you're testing that as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you familiar with the company Goal Zero?
Time.
No.
Sorry. Sorry. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Hi, we're Dunzel's. We make the bags you see in front of you out of discarded sailboat sand.
Hello, my name is William McCarthy. I'm the COO. I deal mainly with the production and product development.
I'm John. I'm the CIO. I deal a lot with the technology. I think technology is a fantastic tool for making the world a better place. Now, how did we get here? Why are we here? Will and I both grew up on the water. As such, we saw this problem of pollution so close to us. Some estimates put it at 22,000 tons of plastic going into the ocean every day. Now, Will and I have also spent some time living abroad. Will lived in Peru. I lived in Panama for about 8 months. And living in a developing nation, you really see what this problem looks like without proper waste management. We know this problem is massive. In fact, it's really too massive for one or both of us to solve on our own. As such, we had to break it down. We had to make this problem smaller. We had to localize it. We looked into our respective worlds, communities, and hobbies. And after some time, we found that in the sailing community, these sails are being thrown away routinely. In the most extreme cases, after only 5 uses. Competitive racing, once the sail loses its shape, it's done. It's in the garbage. So this material also has some interesting properties that make it attractive from a building block. It's tough. You can wash it in the washing machine. And it's antimicrobial, so it won't get moldy. Pair this with good timing. Will spent the greater part of the last year teaching himself how to sew. He bought an industrial sewing machine from a crazy old man. Don't know why. Now, like I said, these bags are cool. They're tough. They're nice. Now, where do these bags fit in, Will?
That's a great question, John. So we look at the entire U.S. tote bag market, which is worth about $5.8 billion. But upon further research, we knew that only 30% of U.S. consumers were willing to spend more on eco-conscious products. Now, the market's fairly fragmented, and after our competitors take their piece of the pie, we believe we have about 0.1% of the market to address, and that's worth about $17.6 million. Now, wow, that's a small number, 0.01%, but after cross-referencing with our competitor, Seabags Maine, we found that they do about $16 million a year in revenue. Now, we see big opportunity, but there's still competition, and there's a few companies with a similar product and a few with a similar model. Now, the 2 companies with a similar, they make sailbags, they offer the product to a high-end, luxurious market, but we offer better value. We focus on our core sustainability mission, and we offer a no-frills item that's at home in any setting. Now, where are we now? So, starting in August, we started designing our tote, and we quickly iterated until we launched in November. And over the holiday season, we sold about $2,000 worth of tote bags. And January, we saw a slowdown, but we welcomed it. We increased our supply, we launched a blog, and we designed a new product, which is our poetry bag, which sells for $25. Now, February, we saw hope. There was an increase in conversions among a younger audience. We got some positive feedback, and of course, an uptick in revenue. Now, we knew that we got a good product, we've got a good story, and we're not sure where we fit in the market now. But so where are we going next, John?
Well, there's really 2 channels that we want to work on. First, as an e-commerce business, we know that our digital presence is extremely important to our success. As such, we want to continue producing high-quality visual content, photos, videos, everything, and distributing it across all of the channels we're on. We want to implement a proper marketing strategy process as well, through the use of paid ads across these channels. Now, with this, we also hope to see an uptick in our sales, our traffic, and our conversions. We want to purchase another machine in the near future, and at some point, even expand our labor. Ultimately, I think I'm speaking for both of us here. We want to be able to look at our parents in the eyes and tell them, this is what we want to do full time. And then have them look back at us like we don't have 5 heads on our shoulders. all joking aside, what it really boils down to, I think, is Will and I, we see this trend of businesses going net zero or reducing their footprint, and we think that's awesome. That's great. But quite frankly, we don't think that's enough. And with this company, what we're trying to do is we're trying to go negative. We're trying to take from the problem to solve it. Thank you. I'm John, this is Will, and we're done this. Thank you.
So, this is a beautiful bag, and I always think it's a great business model when you can use material that other people are throwing away. So that's really, really cool. Just for clarification, did you say this retails for $25?
No, the tote bag retails for 50.
50, okay. I was like, wait a second, how can it be so cheap? So, what's your COGS on it? Cost of goods sold.
So it costs us about $15 to make, including labor that we predict in the future. So like right now we're not paying ourselves, but if we were to hire somebody at $15 an hour, the total cost would be about $15 to make.
And where are you sourcing the material from?
So primarily it's been in the state of Florida from different sale offs around the state. So North Sales in Fort Lauderdale, Ullman Sales in Fort Lauderdale, and a few different places on the West Coast. So basically, people who make new sales, and people leave them there, and they've been willing to work with us very kindly, and you know, there's a steady supply of it because people they're making new sales every day.
Yeah, very interesting, cool.
So you don't actually have to purchase the products, they give it to you?
Yeah, as of now, we don't. You know, also in that $15 price or cost of making it, we factored in possibly paying for the supply, but as of now, they're giving it to us for free.
I wouldn't expect that to last forever. Once they figure out there's a market for it, they're going to start to charge you for it. But again, I think it will be nominal. One of the things that I'm a little confused about is you started the presentation talking about all the plastic in the ocean, and I understand that that's, you know, how that's relevant to a sale being thrown away. However, what are you doing about the plastic in the ocean?
So these sails are actually made of polyester fibers.
Okay.
And ultimately those break down into microplastics, leach back into the oceans, the environments, and choke everything.
Okay. Have you thought about making this more social, where a portion of the proceeds from every bag goes to ocean cleanup, something like that, that really kind of ties into your...
Quite frankly, it actually started as a fundraising effort for the MSU Sailing Club and kind of spun off into this. I think Will and I are both on the same page where we see continuing to give back to the community in one way or another as part of that future.
I just say, if you're starting the presentation with the plastic in the ocean, you just need to tie it back in somehow. Because I hear you on the sales, but I don't think those are going into the ocean as much. They're going into a landfill. So just make sure you're full circle.
If you email me, I actually have a great slides on how plastic breaks down into microplastic. If you're interested, Will, you probably have my email.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's just edmcneese@fsu.edu.
Awesome, we love that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hey, John, in the presentation, you mentioned that your product has a better value than the competitors. Can you elaborate on what you mean by better value?
So we find this value sort of in the same way that Ford Ocean, where they're selling bracelets, but they're really not selling their bracelets, they're selling their mission of cleaning up. In the same way, Rareform was the company that makes backpacks. They make backpacks out of billboard material that's also being thrown away. So we see our value coming from this mission of taking from the problem, reducing this problem at large. A lot of the competition, really all of the competition in the sail bag market is this high-end yacht, nice sailboat, coast of Maine. That's the crowd that they're appealing to, and we see our product kind of fitting more generally as it is what it is, right? We're not appealing only to that specific sector.
Yeah, a lot of the bags sell for $200, and we think at $50 it allows, people who, they might not be able to afford that, but they really do care about the environment to have a sustainable tote that they can take they're not worried about spending $200 on it, taking it to like the office or every day around the city or something like that.
One thing, I don't know if this is out there, but just as you're talking about value added and maybe like a high end thing, is if you could make a partnership with one of the racing teams of the America's Cup or something, and then actually get their sales. I bet you could sell those for a lot, and I think that partnership would really help you scale up. I think that'd be a really cool way to go about going to market with this.
Yeah, and speaking of scale, I get the labor cost of $15 an hour, that incorporates maybe some product price at some point, but it's mostly just the labor actually sewing it. What about the machinery that you use to create these? How much do those cost? In that plan that you had for the year projection, how many machines is that? What's the growth of machine count that you have?
Well, so right now we have one. It's an industrial sewing machine. It's 1985, and traditionally a lot of the industrial sewing machines out there that's working on heavy materials like this, they're all from, a lot of them are from the 60s, 70s, 80s, so a lot of it comes from being able to work on those machines, and I've got a slight mechanical background, so we can bring machines in that are older and revamp them, put servo motors on them, but, over the next year, we'd probably like to see, add at least 2. I think that would help us start to grow.
Did you say how much they cost?
So they range from, we bought ours for $340. Now you can spend, the one we really want costs about $800, and if you want to buy a brand new one, they can cost $5,000.
Okay, so $5,000 would be like a brand new one.
Yeah.
Where did the name come from?
Good question. We actually had it in our semifinals pitch, but it got picked. Dunzel's is actually a shipments term, and it basically means something that's useless. Someone or something that's useless. So it was all derogatory towards a captain that was going crazy or somebody who wasn't working. So we see it kind of as this ironic play where we're taking something that's useless and bringing value back to it.
I have a colleague who's blowing my phone up, wanting me to tell you that $50 is way too little, and she's losing her mind. So you may want to think about just your pricing. It is possible to price something too low, because she's like, you have it, like, does it look like a $50 bag? I'm like, no, it looks like a $200 bag. And she's like, 50 is probably, it's going to be counterproductive to what you're probably trying to do. That's not from me, that's just from the anonymous person watching your presentation right now. So I'll let you know what she says.
Yeah, we're going to be attending some markets in the near future. Actually, next weekend and then the following weekend.
Yeah, 2 weekends then.
Yeah. Where we're going to be doing some A/B testing with pricing and seeing what we can get away with. So far, we've sold them for as low as 45 and up to 75, but we can still do some experimentation with that.
What's the skill required? I mean, you had mentioned that you had pursued sewing in the past. What level of skill is $15 an hour what you would need to pay someone with that level of skill to sew these at all day, every day?
Yeah, we believe so. That's basically the going rate now. I mean, I learned to sew, basically, I bought a machine in June, okay? And basically between June and, basically September, when we really started like being able to sell the products, I mean, I taught myself. I didn't know anybody, and I didn't have any background before that. So, maybe, granted, I maybe was able to learn a little quicker, but it's not a lot. And, especially when you get into repetition like this, after you do 10 in a day, like, you start to zone in on it. And I don't think the skill is, we could probably find somebody, we hope, at around $12 an hour, and then kind of work our way up to, maybe around 20 if they're, something like that.
How much inventory do you have on hand right now?
So currently we make it as we go. We've got about, well, supply-wise though, we have 25 sales that are basically kind of consuming us.
So under my head.
But we think it probably would make about, in the thousands range for totes, like maybe 2,000 tote bags, because it's a lot of material. But our zippers come from a manufacturer called Sailrite in Indianapolis, and we buy our straps from a supplier in Alabama. So luckily, though, we've got a good tie with them. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So good morning, we're Team MED, and our run is Film Technology for the Visually Impaired. So this is our team. I'm Madison Jaffe.
I'm David Alced. And Nicholas Garcia wasn't able to make it today.
And I'm Ethan Savage. So the problem we ran into when starting our project is that the visually impaired don't have very much aid in current society, and this leaves many of them dependent on family and friends and makes it hard for them to retain employment. So when we asked the community what they wanted, they told us that their current resources aren't very affordable since their average income is about $38,000, and they aren't very effective in performing the functions that are needed. So this is our solution, HatSack. So our product attaches to the standard white cane. So this is our prototype on the right-hand side. So we would expect the user to have the cane previous to purchasing our product. And once receiving our product, they would insert the cane into that allotted slot and tighten it with that wing screw to make sure that our product is secure. So HatSack allows for the visually impaired to sense and scan objects in front of them. So if you look on the front wall, those two little circles are ultrasonic sensors, and above that is a camera. And then we also wanted to make sure that the device feels very organic in the user's hand. So we made sure that the hand grip is very ergonomic and the device is under 3 pounds to ensure comfort on the user's wrist. And it does all this while being able to identify objects accurately and being in front of them. So this is our the black box is our power bank, and it's a rechargeable battery which ensures that the user is able to go and move around freely throughout their day, and it has a battery life of 5 hours to ensure that they're able to get to their designated location with enough battery life to get back. So going a little bit more into our functions, the first one being able to sense. This is done through the ultrasonic sensors. So it basically interprets sound waves, and that can be up to 3 meters away. And then once those sound waves are detected, the internal computer will determine how far those sound waves are from the user and alert the user of those sound waves. So it'll be done through haptic feedback, which is a vibration, similar to the one in your phone. So the closer the object is to the user, the quicker the vibrations will occur, and the further away, the less intense and slower the vibrations will occur. So going to the camera that I had pointed out, the user is able to scan any product in front of them by turning the camera on and off whenever it's desired. And our internal memory will have up to 500 stored products. So if they scanned any of the products, the memory will be able to determine what product that is, and it will be able to notify the user through vibration. And once the product is specifically identified, a speaker will relay the name back to the user.
All right, so your major competitors, the white cane by itself is $30, and we have to compete with it because we got to prove why our product is necessary to attach to it. The student band is priced similarly to ours at $299. It's similar with the whole camera feature, but it's attached to your wrist, so the user would have to wave their arm around and kind of hold their arm up in place in order to use it. And WeWalk is, like us, a smart cane, but it's priced at twice as much as our product, and it still doesn't have all the functions that we have. Okay, over time, we would like to hit a global market of 285 million visually impaired people, 39 million of them being completely blind. But we do intend to start in the United States, where there's still 12 million visually impaired people to potentially sell our product to.
Now moving into our business model, as we stated, we offer the ability to identify items and detect obstacles above the waist. We offer a suite of functions with a higher cost benefit than our competitors. As we said before, we offer the ability to have twice the amount of functions at half the price of our closest competitor. We plan on selling directly to our consumers through our website and our customer helpline. as well as through our partner rehabilitation centers, whom will help distribute the product as well as assist in training for the device. Our marketed retail price as of now is $299, as it costs $250 to produce at its current state. Our first year projected profit is around $21,000, assuming a 10% monthly growth rate, and that will be selling 50 units in the first month. So our plan for growth, we plan on reinvesting the profit generated in the first year back to the company. Ultimately, what we'll be doing is cutting out our printed circuit board supplier and generating an in-house development team with our own proprietary circuit board system. This will increase our profit margins by 17%, as well as dropping the price of development by 20%, and it'll only cost $200 to produce at that time. So we'll plan on continuing this for the next 2 years, and after the third year, we'll be reinvesting that money back to the company as well, where we plan on renting out a commercial warehouse that's roughly 5,000 square feet. We'll cut out our manufacturer completely and generate an in-house team to develop the product overall, as well as hire more employees to keep up with demand. So going to our long-term sales, our 3-year sales projection, we have a projected revenue of $595,000 with an estimated profit of $185,000. Moving into our 5-year sales projection after the 3rd year, once we plan on getting a warehouse to develop our product completely, we have a projected revenue of $1.8 million with the projected profit of $250,000, which is 35% growth from year 3. The main expenses that we're running into after the 5 years, the fact that we'll have rent to pay, as well as salary to pay, and credit card fees are also a big chunk of what we'll have to pay back. So we are Team Men. This is our contact information if you wish to reach us at any time. If you have any questions, please ask now.
So great presentation. MEND is the first letter of each one of your names?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I was trying to figure that out. So I just got to ask, this seems like an app to me and not a whole nother device. Can you tell me why, because it seems like everything that it does, like my phone that doesn't weigh 3 pounds can easily do. Can you help me understand why this needs to exist and it's not an app?
So the biggest thing right now is that the visually impaired the primary use of getting around is using the white cane, and what the device is used for is to alert the user of any change in elevation of the ground or of any objects that are in the vicinity.
I'm sorry, let me clarify my question. I don't understand why it's so big and it's so heavy. I understand the need for it, and I think it's a great solution to that problem. I'm just wondering, why so big, why so heavy, and why couldn't it be something similar? Why couldn't it be just an app, a software solution, rather than a new hardware solution? Why is that your solution?
Well, so we know that most people who are visually impaired have the white cane already, so we wanted to add something to that device to elevate it. So the idea of having the ultrasonic sensor and the camera would allow the users to have a bigger range of vision for what they're with. If they're in the grocery store, if they're walking the street, they want to know what's around them, they can use a camera to figure out what's there. The reason it can't be an app is that it needs to be rigid to the user itself. We do have the idea of it being affiliated with an app so that it can be a little bit more natural in their everyday use. The reason it's big is because the parts that we have to order now, power bank, the Raspberry Pi, everything right now, we're just trying to work on the prototype so that it fits properly. As the iterations go on throughout the years, hopefully, we'll be able to refine it down to a smaller compact device that the user will be more intrigued to use.
Hi, it's a great idea, very good presentation. You mentioned a competitor product called WeWalk. And have you looked at their patents to make sure that you're not infringing upon theirs?
Yeah, we took a look at their patents to make sure that we're not infringing on that, and that we make sure that we have certain functions that they do not have that would make us better.
Yeah, essentially they have patents, or most of these devices here use ultrasonic sensors and vibration to relay that information back to the user. They all have individual patents, and they have different technology within the device to let that happen. So our device is using slightly different technology to translate that back to the user. And then also we're offering the ability to recognize objects with the camera, which is something that no other products have currently on the market. So that's also another function that we could possibly patent for ourselves.
Very impressive. Also, in the compliment you, I saw the summary graphic in your materials. I thought it was very good.
I have a little bit of a question about the financial plan. You mentioned that after, in year 3, that you would bring your circuit board production in-house. So, but it sounds like, which would bring your cost down to $200, so, and you're selling it for $299. So are you selling at a loss for the first 2 years?
No, so for the first year, it'll cost $250 to develop, and we'll have a $50 profit margin off of that.
Okay.
After the first year, we're kind of cutting out the circuit boards. So right now, we're using the Raspberry Pi with the Grow Pi adapter to it, which is the primary chunk of what everything costs. So that'll bring the price down to $200, so which will generate 20% profit, a higher profit margin off of that.
Is that gross profit or net profit?
Net profit.
Okay, so all your development costs, all your labor,
Yeah.
everything is included in that $200 or $250 number?
Right.
Okay. Okay. One of the other things I noticed is in the sales projections you had is you have sales 3 times higher in year 5, but your profitability is only 50% higher. And I'm not sure why profit percentage goes down so much in year 5 versus year 3.
So after year 3, we plan on initiating a salary for 4 of us, as well as the price of rent, which is around $35,000. And then the biggest chunk of what the fees are coming from is 3% credit card fee. So off of a $1.8 million sales, that's roughly $60,000 just in credit card fees alone. So after year 3, the price of profit takes a hit just because we're moving into a new facility. We have to pay insurance on the facility as well. So basically, the year 5 is the turning point of where we'll be able to make a higher profit.
Can you refresh my memory? Do you already have prototype developed, or where are you in that stage?
So currently we have like our housing that we had shown. So this is a CAD drawing. So that's what our prototype is essentially going to look like. It's a pretty rough estimate of like what it's going to look like. But no, since we're part of like FAMU FSU College of Engineering's engineering project, I think 2 weeks ago, we're just able to start purchasing products. So we have to get it run by them. So all of our products have come in and we're starting to work on them, but we don't have a physical prototype yet. Oh, we have, go to Alex then. So this is the neural network that we're going to be using. So for the scanning the camera operation, this is something that I guess would kind of be a prototype of it. So we have our team member who wasn't able to be here today. He's showing his cellular telephone, and this is done through his camera computer. So the camera that we're going to be using is much higher quality, and we'll be able to detect objects a lot better. But this one does it as well, and he's simply showing his phone, and there's a lot of background. There's a lot of stuff happening behind. There's him, his lights, his walls, everything like that, and it's still able to detect the product. So this is a good look of like what our camera functions will run through.
Right. So this is already an open source software that we'll be using for the device, and ultimately there's over 1 million pre-programmed pictures that are already in there, and it can really recognize anything, any everyday object. We plan on editing that code to insert specific commercial products that you can see in grocery stores that individuals be using on an everyday basis. As also, we want to offer the ability that the users can ask us and request us to put in specific devices or products that they use on an everyday basis so that they can recognize that a lot quicker.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is InNOLEvation. I'm the founder and CEO of Zing.
And I'm Gabriel Masachila, the current entrepreneur intern.
Did you know that there are over 1.5 million drones registered in the United States?
And we have identified a problem that needs to be solved in the industry. Current online delivery systems are painfully slow, expensive, and inefficient. Do you know the feeling when you place an order through Uber Eats and spend too much money on delivery fees just to get cold food an hour later? Because we sure do.
But there's a solution today. Drone deliveries are quick, cheap, and eco-friendly. They provide time savings for consumers, and as we all know, time is money. They provide more options for those without vehicle access and support for those with mobility challenges.
The benefits to society are great as well. Less cars on the road means less car accidents and less carbon emissions.
They provide benefits for businesses as well. They can reach more customers and in turn increase their revenue. Both combustion vehicles and electric vehicles emit CO2 in the end. However,
one round trip made by a car is equivalent to over 90 round trips made by a drone.
Every single day in the United States, there are over 25 million round trips to and from restaurants. That's equivalent to 125 million pounds of CO2 being emitted into the atmosphere. And it takes 900 million trees to consume that amount of CO2.
And if every one of those deliveries were made by a drone, that would spare approximately 890 million trees to carbon emissions.
Let's face it, it's just plain inefficient to deliver a 2-pound hamburger with a 2-ton vehicle. There are over 200,000 licensed drone pilots in the United States who are ready to help today.
And that number has been increasing exponentially ever since 2015.
The vast majority of these pilots fly a specific brand of drone called DJI.
DJI drones equate for over 90% of the commercial drone industry, and Zing is the only company enabling these pilots to make autonomous deliveries. And our goal is to turn every one of those pilots into a Zing pilot. With our Zing Drone Pilot app, we enable drone pilots to make autonomous deliveries by providing them complete airspace awareness.
The main challenge today is a regulatory one. As you can see here, the pilot can only fly within their visual line of sight, so they can't fly over the building on the left or the tree on the right. And this causes major challenges when trying to make deliveries in city environments.
And when the pandemic started, we wanted to help out. So we began by providing contactless deliveries.
Meet Kylan. Kylan is a 6-year-old boy in Oldsmar whose parents both had to quarantine with COVID-19. Zing was able to make a delivery of his prescription inhaler just 2 weeks ago. And we've identified a major opportunity that our competitors have overlooked. Drone pilots are able to make deliveries over small waterways like rivers that save time for both the consumers and the businesses.
You can see here the concept of the Zing air bridges in more detail. Many restaurants and companies are separated from their customers by a river by just under a quarter mile. In New Orleans, we made 5 back-to-back beignet deliveries over the Mississippi River.
And now we're included in the FAA's new Beyond program. It's a program in Kansas meant to test expanded drone operations that are beyond the visual line of sight. And we partnered with Skyfish for this endeavor. They're building a drone that can carry up to 20 pounds.
We've also partnered with AirMap, which provides our pilots with complete airspace awareness so they can make efficient and safe deliveries. And we also have a unique way of interacting with our customers. We put them all in a Slack channel where they can interact with one another.
We already have a few dozen paying customers with an average order size over $150. And we're expanding worldwide. We have a customer in Guam who's making deliveries all around the island.
Zing is currently the only company that provides consumer-level drones with the ability to make deliveries. We currently have a patent pending for a Zing winch system.
In 2021, we project to sell 5 of these modified drones, upping that to 50 in 2023 and 250 in 2025.
We can provide many deliveries for most of our customer needs, including pharmaceutical, Narcan, life preservers, and even small hardware.
The drone delivery market is small now, but it's expected to skyrocket in the near future as regulations open up the playing field for competitors. And here's a quick video demonstrating our current winch system.
individuals who are ready to make their marks in the history books.
Last weekend, we went to New Orleans and made the very first delivery across the Mississippi River. We delivered beignets from the world famous Cafe Du Monde. Here you can see us setting up at the drop-off location. Our plan is to connect businesses downtown with the neighborhood that's across the river. It cuts down delivery times from 20 minutes by car to just 2 minutes by drone.
Visit us at zingdrones.com to learn more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bringing you those beignets here.
So are your customers restaurants, or are they people, or are they, who are you at first I thought you were having a delivery service, but then it seems like you're selling the actual drones themselves. Can you go through who you're actually selling to and the different kind of revenue models?
Yeah, so we have two primary revenue models right now. First, we're selling drone delivery kits to actual drone pilots. So they can buy, right now they can buy a kit for about $150, but our new kit with the winch system and the modified drone is meant for more like enterprise drone delivery customers, and that's going to be $5,000 with everything included. So the other model we're using is the platform model, where we basically, it's sort of similar to Uber Eats, where customers can put in an order through an app, and we get a percentage of that order.
And we actually just, going off of that with our food delivery, we're also currently working on an app that's going to allow customers to also make pharmaceutical deliveries with partners such as CVS and Walgreens Pharmacy. So not only will we have food delivery options, but also pharmaceutical options.
But that app, the comparison to Uber Eats, they would have to use one of those drone pilots that you also can sold the drone to. Is that right?
Well, in that model, we provide the drone delivery kit for free. So we just train the drone pilot, we provide it for free. If somebody wants to start like their own sort of like franchise model type thing, they can buy their own drone delivery kit. But if they're on our platform making deliveries with Zing, we provide that drone delivery kit for free.
So I had the benefit of seeing your presentation for the micro grant, and it's really impressive how far you've come in such a short amount of time. So super impressive, and I love that you validated it in New Orleans, and what a great application. The presentation was fantastic too. My question is, when do you think technology or regulations will go beyond line of sight delivery?
So that's a great question. The beyond visual line of sight, the main thing hindering right now is regulations. The technology is there. So once the regulations come through, which this Beyond program that we're a part of now, that's where we're going to be testing it out. And I'd say within the next 1 to 2 years, beyond visual line of sight operations are going to become a lot more common. 2 companies, now 3, already have their certification to fly beyond visual line of sight in very closed scenarios. So it's Amazon, UPS, and another company, Wing. So it's right around the corner.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Gabriel, I thought your presentation was great. I felt it was a little bit off focus because when I was reading your executive summary, it seems like your product is the selling of the technology to drone pilots. And I thought the presentation focused mostly on the actual benefits of using drones. Am I misreading you?
No, I would say that's one of the differentiations, or something you can get from our executive summary and our presentation. I guess what we really wanted to get across point was that we have multiple streams of revenue. One of them is, the drone pilots purchasing our kits, whether they work with us or they work independently of us. And so that would be one consumer base. And then another consumer base would be the people who use our applications to get their deliveries through both of the app or through our current app and in the future our pharmaceutical app. So I would consider those consumers to be the end users in that scenario. However, if that wasn't clear in the executive summary, then we apologize for that. But hopefully everything now clears that all up.
Did a great job.
Thank you.
I'm on your Instagram account right now. Is the video that you showed on your Instagram account? I can't.
That one right there, that is not on Instagram yet.
You should post that one.
We will.
All right.
Yeah.
This probably goes along the, within the line of discussion about regulations and all that, but I noticed there was a lot of setup, or maybe some setup needed, for the takeoff zone and the landing zone. Like, if I'm a consumer and I order, and I guess that order goes through Grab and maybe through one of the pilots, can I have that delivered anywhere, or is it only in designated areas, or how does that work?
So right now we have this concept called the Zing Air Bridge with 2 Zing access points. So the Zing access points will be the takeoff location where the restaurant's at. So right now it'll just be Cafe Du Monde. And the landing location is at a spot on Algiers Point where people can drive by and pick up their orders. So it is at a fixed location right now.
And hopefully in the future, we hope to have like Zing headquarters, or we call them Zing flight centers, where with Part 135, one of the regulations that we currently are facing that only is 1 pilot per drone, but in the future with Part 135 and the FAA, they're opening that to over 10 to 20 drones per pilot that can be controlled for our flight operations. So our plan, our 5-10 growth year plan is to hopefully have some Zing flight centers where we have 1 trained pilot with their license and everything for operations to command a fleet of drones to be making these deliveries between Zing access points and Zing drop-off deliveries as well.
And yeah, just to go talk about that Part 135, that's the Beyond Visual Line of Sight certification. So right now it's Part 107 Visual Line of Sight. That's why we have to do this fixed point location, but once we get to Part 135, we can do a lot more.
So it'll never be a home delivery option?
It will be. Once Part 135 is available,
Okay.
that's when we can go beyond visual line of sight and it'll go straight to people's homes.
Okay, that helps. So who are these people driving these drones? They're gonna be their job, like an Uber driver, or is it gonna be like a part-time thing? Like, how does that work?
As of right now, we're trying to set it up in like a contracting model where these pilots, they can come on with us, get their necessary training. They can basically, we're just starting out with this model, but we're going to train them, show them how to fly our specific drone, and they already have a Part 107 license. So this Part 107 license is the certification that they know all the drone regulations. They pay $150 to go out and certify that they know them. So we're looking for pilots that already have that experience flying commercially.
How are you positioned financially right now? It seems like you already have a lot of this set up. You've already tested this out. Do you already have like a fleet of drones already, or are you just basing this off of 1? I'm trying to just get a sense of kind of where you are in the life cycle of development.
Well, initially we wanted to be like the Uber model where we don't own any drones. Our pilots are the ones who own the drones and we just provide the kits. But now we just actually got 3 enterprise level drones that we're going to be using. One at that Tierra Verde location that was shown in the video, and the other at the New Orleans location. So we are getting our own fleet right now.
And going off of that, besides our 1 pack we have for our smaller Zing winch system, that's for consumer level drones such as the DJI brand and their series of drones. But when we do get our few drones from Skyfish, we're getting their M4 and M6 models. Those are ones capable of carrying up to 12 to 20 pounds of payload, for 20, 30 minutes for our flights. We'll be developing a new winch system for that for our enterprise level flights.
I saw in your executive summary, it says you're selling equity in your company.
Yes.
What vehicle are you doing that through? Is there a public offering?
So we are raising that through angel investors right now. It's we are raising $175,000 for 7%. We have already raised $25K for 1% from 1 angel investor, and we did a presentation in New Orleans for a couple angel investors who came out. So we are raising that through private equity.
Great, thank you.
Maybe the last question, are there any competitors out there that are trying to occupy the space that you want?
Yes. So there are quite a few competitors. Some are global, so any that are outside the United States are severely limited because they can't get a Part 135 certificate, which is required to fly beyond visual line of sight. There are a couple who are trying to do Part 107 stuff right now, but none of them have regular operations anywhere. They're all doing like COVID test delivery, kind of niche kind of little deliveries here and there, but none of them are doing regular deliveries yet. We want to establish ourselves as the first mover in that market.
We're about out of time anyway for questions. Thank you.
Hey guys, and thank you for having us here today. We are Chaos Audio, and we're excited to tell you about our plan to dominate the audio effects industry. Before we tell you about our company, grab some technical.
All the time a minute. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, there we go. Before we tell you about our company, we need to take you back to the 1960s, when guitar pedals first came about. A guitar pedal modifies the sound of an electric guitar or instrument based on the properties that the musician is looking for, like distortion or reverb. Yeah, you like to hear these effects every day in your favorite musical tracks. And normally they're quite literally a metal box that take that signal, modify it with audio circuitry, and then send it over to the amplifier or the audio recording interface. But what does an effect sound like? Jimi Hendrix is a perfect example. First, we have a clean, unmodified guitar signal straight out of the guitar. The second example is after the same signal is pushed through a series of effects that are modeled after the same effects Jimi Hendrix used. Fast forward to 2021, and we've identified a major problem. Our favorite products are becoming more and more intelligent by the day, but guitar pedals haven't really matched that trend. Guitarists are looking for an affordable multi-effect solution that remains versatile and allows them to unleash their creativity without breaking the bank. Enter Stratus by Chaos Audio. Stratus is the perfect marriage of modern technology and the timeless aesthetic of guitar pedals. Stratus is an all-in-one multi-tool for electric guitarists. Featuring an incredibly new and intuitive interface right on the user's smartphone, the user is capable of chaining together what would be 5 individual clunky effects right through the smartphone and interacting with them similarly to how they would with a physical pedal board. But rather than tell you about Stratus, we want to show you Stratus in action. Daniel Donato is a guitarist and musician who supported us from the beginning, back in summer of 2020. Here's a clip for a digital ad that we did with him just last year.
I think if Jimi Hendrix were alive today, he would be trying out all the new things and going for all the new endeavors possible. So I want to live in that same vein. I'm always looking for a new way to embrace technology and bring it into the way that I either create music or perform music live, and the Chaos Stratus is right on the edge of that. As a guitar player, you want things to work consistently and also very fast. I was able to set up 3 different sounds today in a matter of 5 minutes, and that's really great. Just as fast as I would with a normal pedal board. If you're an adventurous student of music and you want to find new tools that'll push you to create different tones that you wouldn't create with the tools you already have, the Stratus is very much so an asset.
So we knew that Stratus's price point could make or break the product. With Stratus being priced at $249, it is significantly cheaper than if you tried to recreate the same functionality through current analog setups. It is also cheaper than most of the multi-effects units on the market, but its functionality is more similar to the $1,000 rigs that you'll find. The pedal effects market is made up of new and used pedal sales. This is because analog pedals usually only have one function. This is an opportunity for Stratus to capture both markets. People who are in the market for new pedals will see Stratus as their next big purchase that will save them money down the line. And people who are in the market for used pedals will see Stratus as a solution to the painstaking process of having to resell pedals that they were unhappy with or grew tired of. Now that you know how the market operates, let's talk about how big it is. We've identified our total available market to be the $7.5 billion instrument and accessories market in the US. Our serviceable available market is the combination of the analog and multi-effects pedal markets in the US. Our SOM is the bottom 50% of that market that is left to the hundreds of boutique
and smaller pedal manufacturers in the U.S. Our 5-year market goal is to capture just $6 million of that SOM. We knew that to do this, we would need a product that was exciting, high quality, and had room for expansion. Through strategic partnerships, we've been able to create a pre-launch product that is future-proof to be integrated with modular controllers and an online effects store. We've also got feedback from industry experts to make sure that we're not sacrificing on the quality. And we've even gained some high-profile media coverage along the way. With Stratus, we've designed 100% of the electronics, software, and hardware in-house. This allows for Stratus to remain highly competitive, while also ensuring that we can keep the price down and affordable for everyday guitarists. This is because Stratus's real potential lies in the monetized online effects platform that will only grow as we continue to sell more hardware. Stratus is a hardware-software combination, which makes it incredibly difficult for other companies to replicate. We currently have 2 patents pending, a provisional patent on the utility, as well as a design patent, and we're in the process of filing a 3rd patent on the updated design refresh of Stratus. Behind every great product lies a team that excels at execution. We are young, passionate, and highly motivated. With backgrounds in technical fields of study, we've been able to diversify our roles while ensuring that we don't compromise on the technology behind Stratus. We started just like everybody else, with an idea. And within 1 year, we were able to secure a seed investment and create our first fully functional prototypes. Fast forward 3 months later, and we had our MVP. We began alpha testing, and we took Stratus to market through Kickstarter as a tool for market validation. We were able to raise $20,000 through 95 unique backers. But with this exposure came lots of feedback. We heard the feedback we were getting and realized Stratus may not be as launch ready as we had anticipated. We redesigned our electronics, changed our mechanical design and implemented a new switch, and revamped our product positioning and marketing strategy to place us in the best possible position to launch this spring with an expected shipping date of September 2021. This spring launch will be driven by our innovators and early adopters. We've created a unique reservation funnel that uses a $1 deposit to measure the purchasing intent of our leads, ensuring that we can accurately estimate the amount of backers that we'll have on day 1. We want to keep in mind that scalability is absolutely imperative for Stratus and Chaos Audio. These 5-year projections show how our hardware sales will carry us through the early years, with microtransactions through our online store being a huge profit driver in the background, increasing our overall profit margins. With this information presented, we're seeking $10,000 in funding to pay for the $8,000 Bluetooth licensing fee, as well as $2,000 in tooling costs associated with CNC.
Time.
Great job, guys. One question that I have, just I guess I'll go in the order of the slides. The digital effects revenues, can you go over what those were again? Is that stuff that's going to be coming out? You have 2 more up in front. Yeah, there we go. Is that something you're offering now that you plan on rolling out later, or what is that?
Yes, so foundationally, our software is written such that we can update the firmware and continue to push new effects that are downloaded through our custom Bluetooth protocol to the pedal. So we're focusing on the foundation at first. It's important to have a really pinpoint precision focus on that first product. So we're ensuring that Stratus on its own with effects that are included are enough to sell the pedal before we roll out the update that allows you to download the effects from our store. And we're already working with a couple of artists on some custom effects, like Daniel Donato's Cosmic Country effect. And then I also want to point out real quick, just so there's more information behind how this was created. We already have several other hardware products in the works in terms of controllers that interact with Stratus wirelessly, so you have more versatility. And then the effects, the effects were estimated to be about $299 per effect. That's kind of our target price point for each effect. And we're estimating that the average user will purchase about 3 effects per month. And that's based on the hardware. As the hardware increases, you can see that the effect sales increase as well. And there's some licensing fees in terms of like working with artists associated with that, but most of this is a lot larger of a profit margin from the effects than the production cost of the pedal, which we can dive into if you would like to know about the profit margin on the hardware.
I'm sorry. Well, I have a little bit of confusion on the functionality. So most of the guitarists I know, they have their pedal board right? And, you know, in a given song, they may use 3 different effects or something like that. So how would that work with a single pedal solution? How would the switch be around?
So that's where the scalability of our long-term vision comes into play. So right now we're pitching Stratus as the perfect multi-effects pedal, so standalone multi-effects pedal, similar to something that you'd see with like the Zoom multi-stop that you can use for practicing at home or to supplement your live gigs if you're a beginner and intermediate musician. But the first hardware product we plan on introducing after Stratus is our 5-button switchboard. We've already got the prototype of that working as well, and that connects to the app via Bluetooth at the same time that Stratus is connected to the app via Bluetooth. And that 5-button switchboard allows you to have full control while playing of each individual effect in your chain, as well as the ability to reprogram the functionality of those buttons based on whatever you want the functionality to be.
Tracy, would you mind if I just one follow-up question? Thank you. This is just an idea as you were speaking, and I mean, super cool what you guys are working on, and maybe it's time to get away from a foot pedal completely, especially with the Bluetooth functionality, and maybe this is a unit that's actually on the guitar where you guys have thought of that. Okay.
And that's just one thing to add with your original question, just real quickly. So that was something, that was kind of one of the pivots we made, because our first launch, we were trying to target beginners, intermediates, and like the semi-professional who plays live. But one of the things we realized is functionally our product isn't really suited for live performance where it's at right now. So that was one of our pivots, was retargeting the market and just finding the beginner and the intermediate who is newer to effects or starting to explore effects. And that's kind of the ground level that we want to start at with this product and then roll into the future products that take it more into the live performance space.
Hey, quick question. So the hardware is perfected now?
So that unit is actually one that has several issues with the electronics. Well, we just put an order in for the updated electronics. It took us weeks, actually months, to perfect the mechanical design. Robert worked on the enclosure, and we changed the switch, as you can see on the silver unit. That's actually an early version of the next unit, but the electronics should now theoretically be near perfection and very close to what we're going to manufacture. We've eliminated the noise issues, a lot of the issues in regards to how the LiPo battery is going to function, the rechargeable battery, and the power toggle functionality, as well as a bunch of other things.
Is the app ready too?
The app works currently as well.
It can be downloaded right now?
So it's on test flight. We don't want to release the app to the public until the hardware is shipping, but it is downloadable if you're on the beta program, and I have it on my phone actually over there.
That's terrific.
And we're going to redesign the app with the new mock-ups that we have. So we're already making significant headway in both the app and the hardware areas.
I'd just like to add, that video that you saw, we had handed Daniel the pedal and he had set it up himself. We had the app running on, sure we had the app on that phone, but he was able to do everything himself. Although there's some minor tweaking with how it sounds, it was fully functional.
Yeah, so that was essentially full functionality, just the user using it, and we said, have fun, go crazy.
Fantastic.
So I just want to real quickly comment on how together you guys are. Like, you know your stuff, and I'm so impressed with everything. I don't know jack squat about playing a guitar, or much less a foot pedal that does anything to it. But I feel like I understand it, and I appreciate like the level of detail that you guys are going to. So thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Absolutely. Is this a better pedal than anything that's out there?
Yes.
Then why are you charging less?
It's a very complicated market. There are very expensive multi-effects rigs out there that incorporate multiple switches, the expression controller, things of that nature. But given how small a team we are and the limited resources we have, we thought that it was imperative to really strategically be smart about the network of products that we build and how they interact, which is why we went to the modular approach. Because it's a lot more attainable to build out a pedal of this size and caliber initially, but with the extra hardware in mind and the extra software in mind, plugins for computers, controllers, the 5-button switchboard, and the expression controller that we're going to release after that 5-button switchboard controller. It gives you the same functionality once we get that stage, and it's interchangeable, so there's additional features on top of what we do with the physical large multi-effects rig.
Sure. I just think that if you are bringing something to market that's modular, that is a little bit better than anything else that's out there, if you believe that, then there's an opportunity there to sell value. And like, don't be the cheapest one in the market. That's not necessarily better. Like, be competitive.
That's a fair point. I do want to comment that we're following kind of the razor and blade model. We want this to be so affordable that any guitarist looks at this as a replacement for purchasing other multi-effects units, maybe cheaper multi-effects units without the same functionality, or a bunch of different analog pedals to chain together. But we call it the razor and blade approach because the effect sales through the online platform are really what we're targeting, because that's where we're going to significantly increase our profit margin over time as we add effects to that platform as recurring revenue.
And I will add too that the one data point I showed with the average price, I was kind of frustrated with that because the price range of multi-effects units and when it comes to guitar pedals is huge, because technically something can be a multi-effects unit if it's capable of running like 2 effects at a time. So the functionality can be super limited, where it's really not even a multi-effects unit, but it's categorized as that, and it's being sold for like $50 to $100, just because it does a little bit more than an analog pedal.
Pardon if this is an ignorant question, but is there ever a point in which someone buys your initial pedal that one of these digital effects that they buy a year later doesn't compute well? Like, is there ever a point where someone has to replace their hardware? Is that intentional or?
That is something that we really have to be careful about. That's why firmware updates are the #1 thing that Sam is actually working on right now, is the ability to update the firmware on hardware. Because as we grow, we're going to have more resources available to increase the processing power. I will say we're already planning on introducing Stratus Pro in several years, maybe 2-3 years down the road, and that will have significantly more processing power. But we're waiting the processing of each effect so that we can accurately gauge which effect is going to be compatible with which unit. Similar to how Apple handles it with the App Store and multiple iPhones that are available. That is a good point, though. That's something that's very difficult that we're working through, but we're getting there.
One last question.
Can you go, just really quickly, can you go back to the comparison slide of price points for your product versus similar ones? Well, okay, so as I was even asking that question out loud, if people get attracted to the product, it might not be a pound thing that once every several years they do have to replace it if it's also a little bit cheaper.
And with 10 seconds, just to interject, we're also planning on looping people into this ecosystem and keeping them there with effects that are proprietary, that work on this platform, and interface with all of our modular controllers, and the whole network works together.
Time.
Thank you.
Hello, we are Mansour Edge Technology. My name is Patrick Mansour.
And I'm Charlie Edwards.
Thank you so much for having us and letting us speak. We're both juniors in mechanical engineering here at the FAMU FSU College of Engineering. We founded Mansour Edwards Technology back in January of 2020 with the vision of bringing rapid prototyping to a wider market and helping people overcome the inherent barriers in the industry today. So what is rapid prototyping? Rapid prototyping is a very useful tool that helps designers and engineers build their products better, innovate faster, and end up with a better end result. There are 2 main types that people do on day-to-day design work. The one you've probably heard a lot about is called 3D printing. 3D printing takes material and adds it together until you have exactly what you want. It's inexpensive, easy to use, and very compact. This has made it very accessible for adoption in the market today, and probably why you've heard so much about it recently. The more conventional method has been milling machines. This has been around for a very long time. It works by cutting away a block of material until you have exactly what you want. It works with a variety of different materials, from foams to metals to plastics to woods. It's very fast and has a great work quality for things like laboratory testing or just trying to get it as close to the final product that you want. There are a lot of downsides to both methods, though. With 3D printers, they're rather slow. It takes a few hours to do the same thing that a milling machine will take a couple minutes to do. It works primarily with plastics, so you're very limited by your material selection, and the quality just isn't what it needs to be for laboratory testing or advanced design. With milling machines, though, the units we're going to be talking today about are very expensive. They go for $150,000 often. They're very difficult to use, often requiring 2 years of vocational training. And they're massive, the size of a sedan. This has led to them being contracted out, so that speed advantage is gone when it takes 7 to 10 business days to actually get it. We went through an extensive customer validation survey with many different potential customers in the industry, from small firms to large firms, educational institutions to enthusiasts. We asked them a ton of different questions, but it boils down to 2 core ones. What method did they prefer? What gave them the better end result? And the answer we got was almost universally CNC. But when we asked them when we asked them what they preferred, they only which one they used was primarily 3D printing. And most of them actually had a 3D printer on hand.
All right, so we want to try and fix this using Project Firebird. And you might be asking yourself, what is Project Firebird? What we're going to be doing is attempting to merge CNC manufacturing with 3D printing and bring it to a much wider market than traditionally in those markets. It's going to be offering a 5-axis machine for the price of 3, so it's all the capabilities of a full-size CNC machine on a 3D printer scale. It's going to be able to deliver those professional-grade pieces that you expect with a CNC machine, consistent, whatever you need. And it's going to be all-inclusive, whatever you see is what you get, no extra costs. And to really understand what we're offering, we have to look at the competition. We're going to talk about the Haas machine and the Stratasys machine. So Haas, the UMC 500 SS, is the market-dominating milling machine. It works on 5-axis. It is $150,000, and it's about the size of a large SUV. And the Stratasys machine is almost the exact opposite. It fits on a desk. It's their base model. It starts around $12,000, but it requires about $1,000 annually of warranties and a bunch of other additional programs and parts to actually get the full functionality out of it. And to really further push what we're offering, we have to look at the viability. In 2019, 3D printing manufacturing in the United States was valued at $4.5 billion, with projected growth over the next 5 years at 13.5% annually. So the next year it would be $5 billion, and then continue to compound. And looking at Haas Automation, who's the largest CNC manufacturer in the country, they have about $500 million in revenue in 2019, and they are in an $18 billion industry. So there's a lot of room that Firebird is able to go and actually disrupt the market.
Firebird is a very unique idea with a lot of disruptive potential. And the fact of the matter is there's nothing on the market like Firebird at the price point we're targeting and the capabilities that it has. In order to get there with such an ambitious project, though, we need a concrete plan to the market. We're going through a 2-phase development cycle, starting in phase 1 with our initial research. We're here right now. We've conducted some market validation surveys and research. We're continuing that as well as developing prototypes. Here you can see some of the core technologies. One of the core technologies are linear rail design. We're going to go ahead and hand that around soon, but we're also developing other technologies that are going to be essential to getting Firebird to the market. We're searching for funding opportunities in order to protect our intellectual property as well as advance into our second phase of development, when we'll take these technologies and put them together into a minimum viable product. We'll also set up our supply chain, begin distributing our marketing materials, and finally end up distributing it to our adopters. We have several different revenue streams, but the primary form of revenue is going to come through machine sales. We have a target price point of $15,000 with a margin of 40%. We have several secondary methods of generating revenue as well, such as a computer-aided manufacturing system, which essentially takes the job of the machinist who took 2 years of vocational school and does it for you. Makes it completely easy to use. You just need a computer and your own creativity. That will generate some revenue, but most of these are actually there to help make Firebird a more attractive option to the public who's not confident enough to invest in a large machine without knowing it'll be easy to use. So we love talking about Firebird, and we love working with it, and we are so excited to help answer some questions you have and help you understand it a little bit better. Thank you so much for having us.
Great presentation, and recently, I mentioned this earlier, but you guys weren't here. I'm working with a team who's been using a lot of 3D printing and looked at a lot of the CNC alternatives and stuff like that, which got me to start thinking about like what other solutions that you guys, like, you know, there's definitely a need out there, especially when it comes to cost and everything, but it does seem like there's a bunch on Kickstarter right now. Can you tell me what your key differentiator to the other ones that are coming on the market with your Kickstarter?
The key differentiator at our price point is going to be the 5-axis capability. There are a couple of small-scale 5-axis systems out there, such as Pocket NC is a popular one that's actually had a pretty successful Kickstarter recently. But Pocket NC has a workspace that's barely bigger than this remote. Ours is going to be the same size as a 3D printer would have for its actual workspace, which just expands its capabilities vastly on your day-to-day prototype.
And another big issue with those 3D print or the CNC machines on the startups is they're not powerful enough to work with most materials. They mostly work with like woods, foams, and plastics. We're trying to offer a machine that's able to work with most different types of metals, so you can get a really high quality finished product.
Yeah, that was one of the main issues that I was coming in, like Proto Labs, I think it's called. Are you familiar with them? Basically, that do the service. Like they're super expensive too. That's really interesting. Have you been working with Ken Baldoff at all?
We have spoken with him, but we haven't done day-to-day work with
Okay.
him. But he's definitely something.
He'd be a great resource,
Yeah.
especially for funding and stuff like that.
Patrick, what's your timetable to have a prototype?
Our timetable, we're hoping to have a first, viable working one by September. This will not be full scale or to the full capabilities. These prototypes are going to be very expensive, with a target price of $15,000 and an actual material price of $8,000. We obviously want to kind of start with a smaller version and build up from there. That first prototype in September is going to contain most of our core technologies, test the validity of it before we invest in a full-scale unit.
What's the source of your financing?
Right now, we have the Jimmer and Michael grant has been our primary source of funding at the moment. We're also seeking out a small business innovative research grant from the NSF. It's a great form of non-dilutive funding, which will help us test the technical viability of a lot of our components.
I didn't see, I'm sure you guys are after it, but any kind of patent work, anything that you're looking at?
Yes, so I briefly mentioned that we want to protect our intellectual property, but we've actually gone through and done extensive patent searches. We've done everything except for talk to the lawyers so far, but that is our very next step. Unfortunately, since we're working especially with vibrational technologies for our patents, they're very expensive. They cost around $10,000 to $15,000 is what I've been quoted, which is why we're searching out funding so that we can talk to a lawyer, put together a patent application. We found 4 different technologies that we think are patent, or we're 99% sure are patentable, 2 conflicting patents that have both expired, and everything else on the thing is free.
So you mentioned having some kind of a product by September to do your own internal test work. Is it go from there, or do you have any tentative timeline of when you come to market?
Our goal for market is 3 years from now. Faster is better, of course. The 3D printing market is a very, very rapidly changing market with new developments every day, but we do feel that we have a window where if we got it out in 3 years, we would have at least a decade before metal 3D printers were nearly at the level that we're going to be at. So our goal is 3. Assuming that we did get the SBIR funding, then we would have a 4-year timeline just due to the National Science Foundation's requirements. But as I said, we want to get this out as soon as possible. We're really proud of the idea, and if we can get it to the market, we think we can be very successful.
Did you say you actually have applied for that?
Yes, yeah, it's fully, we applied in December. We're in current review right now, waiting results.
Wendy might be able to help answer this, but is it the FSU's Office of Commercialization? Is that where students go to get free help on patenting? Is that correct? Or
I think the term free help on patenting is
just loose. Yeah.
Or at least some,
They do have like some student packs that you talked about your design,
Yeah.
other people in the College of Engineering.
Yeah, we talked about it, and the general consensus in our personal meetings is to actually kind of, while it's an amazing program that FSU offers, we think that it's best to keep the intellectual property ownership to Manchester Epic Technology alone, rather than have split ownership with the university. At least in this early phase, while we're trying to make sure everything is safe.
They have worked with a lot of resources as far as help with the SBIR application and those type of things too, right? And people in the Innovation Park.
Yes. Yeah, we're a member at Innovation Park, co-working membership. We work closely with Mike Tannowski, if any of you in the room know him, and many of the other people there as well.
And refresh my memory, what is that?
This is a prototype of a linear rail. I spent a little while developing this and then 3D printing it and then finishing it because the finish, like surface-wise, wasn't very good. So in reality, it's going to be put in motion on the, I guess, the linear axes. So your X, Y, and Z axes in the CNC machine is going to be based on. On here, you'll have mounting points for vertical rails or for stepper motors to turn everything. It's going to be one of the main things that we're looking into patenting and developing in the early stages.
Is it all right if we hand it around?
Yeah.
They've been okay with it.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks for asking.
Well, with coronavirus and everything, it's a little bit different, so I won't
It's just a sample of a linear rail. I mean, I've spent 8 hours trying to smooth the finish of this smoothly, but I obviously CNC would make it nicer.
That course that
I 3D printed it like
Right.
There you go, Gary.
Yeah, the grant that they have.
They said they're going to try and do it this summer, though.
Good.
Are there any other questions while we pass this around?
And you may have answered this, but it didn't sink in, like, why? Why, I mean, I understand the need, but like, why you guys?
Yes, that is a great answer. So, or great question. It is a good question. We feel very passionate about rapid prototyping. We also have had the personal experience of just being disappointed by the current industry.
Okay.
Even though 3D printing is very, very quickly advancing, it's about all we can afford at our status, which is small business to enthusiasts. And when we were first starting this out, we were looking at different 3D printers, but what we really wanted was a CNC machine. And there was just nothing on the market we could get. So we said, well, this would be a fun project to just develop it ourselves. And as we thought more and more about it, we said, this has a significant competitive advantage. And so I think it's the mix between the passion that we have for rapid prototyping as well as the actual idea that came to us.
Yeah, no, it's super cool, and I mean, I love this type of technology, and how it helps entrepreneurs, do stuff that they could never have done 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We were looking towards contract, they're getting some machine work done. FSC College of Engineering has a great machine shop that's available for free to students as long as you provide the material. And they quoted us on 2 to 3 months to get a part back.
Oh, wow.
So, and so we said, well, let's look at some pay options, and then all of a sudden it was $200 for a part, and 7 to 10 business days still to get it. And so it's tough to not own the machine, but also just not practical in the current market.
Right. Yeah. Neat stuff. Like, hopefully get it working and launched.
We're confident that we will. If we get what we need to, we can do it. We can definitely do it. Or at least we think we. Thank you. All right, any final questions? All right. Thank you all so much again for having us.
And the judges are now going to announce the winners of each category, starting with the finalists.
First, let me just say that you all were absolutely terrific, and it's always very difficult to choose a winner. And the two finalists, unfortunately, every year there's two that just didn't get into one of the categories. So you're all, winners. You made it this far to this very prestigious event. So congratulations to you all. I'm going. Okay. So the two finalists, I can feel Dean Fiorito's eyes burning into me. So the two finalists this year are Men and Staying In.
So you can come up and get your giant check, and also for a picture, it's up to you if you want to take your mask off. We're fine with that. So you can decide if you want your mask on or off for the pictures. So we'll do men first for the pictures, and then Staying In.
Okay. Come on forward, step on in there. Okay. Now, I'm going to do this as quickly as possible. Yeah. Of course, Susan's always in the front. You guys can. Wonderful. Okay. That looks pretty good. Look right here. Okay, very good. Look right here. That's great. Oh, okay, mask on. Mask off. Hold on. Okay. Very good. Thank you. And the next team.
Just you? Yeah, I got it. I gave it.
They're going to do it without you.
Yeah.
Okay, I heard exactly fine. Yeah. Step in there. Okay, very good. Actually, you have to step over just a little bit. I just want to see the people over there. Okay, very good. Yeah. Angle it there. There we go. One right here, very good. That's great, thank you.
So the Spirit of Entrepreneurship Award. Caitlin, you didn't write down. That's all right. Sorry, I should know this, but there was a lot of deliberation. Spirit of Entrepreneurship Award goes to Manser and Edbrook. What Caitlin's fault, my fault.
Come forward for me a little bit. Right about there, good. Okay, and look right here, good smiles. Wonderful. Couple more, look right here, very good. Just, get a little glare off the check. Kind of angle it down, yeah, work on that works. Very good. Work it, just angle it down. Okay, there we go, very good. Wonderful, thank you.
So Gary Brand will give the most viable. Oh. Mark McGeese will give the Jim Moran Challenge Social Venture Award.
The Jim Moran Social Award is given to the company that really looks at the triple bottom line, looking at the environment and social issues, and this is the one that is awarded to the team that best represents a social impact company. And proud to announce this year is Resourceful.
right about there. Oh, I go back. Okay, yeah, that's good. And then, perfect. Yes, that's right there. That looks good. And that's a few guys. Okay, very good. Look right here. That's great. Now let me see what the check's doing. Hang it down. Oh, there we go. And drop it down so I don't just see your head there. Okay, very good. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. We move over to the front. That would be perfect. Look right here. Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, now Gary Brand is going to present the Most Viable Award.
The winner of the Most Viable Award goes to Duncell.
That's fine. Okay. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Yeah. Very good. And able to check down a little bit. Very good. Look right here. Good smile. One more time. We'll check down a little bit more. Very good. Thank you.
Now David White will present the Most Scalable Award.
All right, congratulations to Medical.
Yeah. Okay, very good. You're fine there. You're going to jump in right there. One of those have you on your over there. Are you ready for one? There we go. Have you kind of angle in this one a little bit. Here we go. I think we can hold it, everybody. So look right here, good smiles. Hold on, check. Angle it down just a little bit, flip around. Okay, right here, good smiles.
Sure.
You know, start constructor, hit down a little. No, stand up. Just angle your head down a little. Give a little flare.
If you guys want to send me a request, it's just that.
Very good. Look right here. Thank you much.
Okay, Tracy Cohen is going to present Most Innovative Award.
Not least of all because they're very cool logo. Congratulations to Zing, the winner of the $4,000 Most Innovative Award.
Yeah, we'll touch you over in this spot right about there. No, you're fine. Okay, very good. And angle the check toward the ground a little bit. And look right here. Very good. And good smiles, even though I probably can't see a couple of them. Okay, we're good. Thanks.
Thank you.
You need no introduction.
So it comes as no surprise that the first place winning team for the Mark K. Scott Infinity Funds Prize goes to Chaos Audio.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's have, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's working. No, you're fine. You're fine what you were doing. Okay, hold on. Okay, he kind of moved over there. But you know what, actually, let's have you scoot over this way. Wendy, you come over on hand. Go out your phone in front of us. Wendy, you bend forward, and then angle in just a little. Yeah, you can brush around over there, again. Everybody take about half a step. That's good. And see if we can move on in. Yeah, angle that straight towards the ground just a bit. Okay. Everybody's looking right here. That looks pretty good. Hold on. Check it. Yeah, so everybody just relax there where you're at. Good. Okay, there we go. Okay.
Cool. And 1, 2, 3. Thanks.
Well, give a round of applause to everybody, all the participants. You should all be very proud of the great job you've done. It's been a long haul, you've done a lot of workshops, and you've worked your way through since the fall, and just being a finalist is quite an achievement, and we're glad you all are all here today. I want to thank Mark Scott and Mrs. Elizabeth Scott for donating the first place prize. They couldn't be here today, but we couldn't do this without them, and we appreciate it. I also want to thank Caitlin, because we couldn't do it without her either. She's been running this stuff and communicating with you all since the fall also, and coordinated all the workshops and everything, and all the faculty also that did the workshops. We appreciate that. Couldn't do it without Sterling and Rosie and Britton and the faculty, the judges for the earlier rounds, so, and all the student volunteers that were here earlier today too. So we appreciate you all. And please join me in giving the judges a round of applause. Token of our appreciation. Okay, so that's it. You're dismissed. Class dismissed. Thank you very much.